Portfolio retrace method in portfolio for multi-charts. This is one of my favorite methods of taking advantage of equity dips or drawdowns in a particular strategy or a portfolio. As I've learned over the years of trading, these are some of the best times to start trading your system. A lot of people, they'll trade, they get a big equity dip, it starts to not work, and they say, well, the system's not working anymore, and they abandon it at the very time they should be buying it. It's really the opposite. You should be buying in a major drawdown or start trading a system in a major drawdown, not when it's at an equity peak. It takes patience, but this equity curve that I will show you will demonstrate how important this is. And this is one key aspect in money management. It's like reverse psychology. You're doing the reverse of what comes instinctual to you. And I'm showing it to you on a graph that shows how relevant it is to sometimes go against what your natural instincts are. Seems to work in the markets. Reverse psychology, and here it is. So we're going to start with our, no money management, just our 3 strategies with no money management in place. As you can see, everything is off here. We're talking about portfolio retracement method 0, it's off. We have portfolio retrace amount, the amount that the portfolio will retrace in percentage terms or shares or contract terms. Obviously, the method, we're turning it on with 1. If you select 2, it then decreases the amount by percentage or shares. 1 for percentage, 2 for shares. 1 would be a percentage increase, 2 percentage in shares or contracts, and this is the amount, either shares or percentage that it would increase at that time. Let's just give you an example of how that plays out once that's implemented. Okay, I've went ahead and implemented this on our 3 strategies. Go to portfolio. Here we are, portfolio retrace method. We turned it on as 1. This method is set for 1 and a percentage retrace of 3%. We will then increase by a percentage, being number 1 is the percentage, number 2 is contracts. We set it to 1. This is a percentage. It will increase 200%. So what we've done here, once we get a portfolio that's decreased by 3%, we'll increase it to 200%. And it works in a stair-step fashion. Each time the portfolio decreases by 3%, it will increase the position size by 200%, and it will remain there until we get another 3% decrease in the portfolio, and then it will increase that position size by 200%, and then it will remain there and continue in a stair-step fashion up and up and up. That's how that method works. So let's see this in action. As you see, it took a $14,000 portfolio without this to a $46,000 portfolio. Very small drawdown. It didn't really affect that. You know, the equity graph looks approximately the same. Not much change, but it just made more money. Again, it's taking advantage when the portfolio is not performing. It then increases position size, takes advantage of weakness. A very effective approach, and this is how the markets function. Now, we want to be a little more aggressive. By being aggressive using this method, depending on how many times you draw down, it can get very volatile on your portfolio and your equity, and very choppy. So to resolve this, we put another input in. Now, this input gives you the ability to be a little more aggressive and still take advantage of dips in your strategy or portfolio, in this particular case, a portfolio. Okay, so we're going to go taste method 1. Let's instead of 3%, let's do 1%. In other words, we're not going to wait for a larger drawdown. A slight drawdown, we want to really jump on it and take advantage of it, of 200% increase. But we're going to turn this to true. Portfolio retrace, return to position size initial after equity high. What this does, it takes advantage of equity drawdowns of 1%. It will increase your position size by 200%. And once we achieve an equity high in the account, on capital in the account, on returns, we'll then revert all the way back to our base position. And this particular example will be 144 shares. We started at 144. Every time we get 1% down in the portfolio with the 3 strategies, we increase our position 200% of 144 until we see the market reaches an equity high in our overall value of the account. Then we'll go right back to 144 again. I really like this method because it avoids the trap of being at your highest position size when the system is doing great or your portfolio is doing great, and then the inevitable drawdown comes. We don't know when, but we know it comes. That's the way the markets work, and you have your biggest position size on right when you get the biggest drawdown. It makes the portfolio very vulnerable, very choppy, can create large drawdowns and blow out your portfolio. This takes advantage of drawdowns without taking the risk of getting your portfolio blown out. It gets an equity high, then we immediately liquidate and go back to our base position. So when that inevitable drawdown comes, we're at a base position size, yet we've taken advantage of a weakness in the portfolio and accumulated some extra profits. So here's what it looks like once implemented. Calculating. Just want to reemphasize, this is really a more conservative approach and avoids a lot of the pitfalls when you're trying to increase your base position size using profits in the portfolio. This is the only method I have found that will increase profits in a portfolio without leaving it exposed to drawdowns and possibly blowing up your portfolio with wild swings. As you can see here, 6% drawdown, and you can see we had a nice stair-step increase in equity, made more money from $14,000 without it to $35,000 with it. Very little drawdown. It's manageable. And we have a nice increasing equity curve, compared to the other method we had. If you recall, the equity curve without any position size, here it was. It went up, went right back down. Notice for a long time we didn't really make any money. It just went sideways and then finally went up. But with this, it took advantage of drawdowns, it took advantage of weakness, increased position size, and it actually had a nice stair step in equity curve, looking much better than this. I always prefer this as we keep increasing, ascending our equity line over a period of time, not going back to zero again. and we have more profits in the account without really sacrificing a lot of drawdown. It's a very nice approach. Again, not the most aggressive approach, but it's a way to increase without leaving you open to large drawdowns and choppy portfolios. One of my favorites. I really had a lot of success with this one.